A general explanation of the Buddha speaks of Amitabha Sutra, with commentary by the Venerable Master Xuanhua. Verse for opening a sutra. The unsurpassed, profound, and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of yons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. Not just the Buddha, but everyone has the Buddha eye. Some have opened their Buddha eyes and some have not. The open Buddha eye shines with the blazing intensity of 1,000 suns. Although the 5 eyes differ in what they see, they are basically of the same substance. So the Buddha has 3 bodies, 4 wisdoms, 5 eyes, and 6 spiritual penetrations. If one has such talent, one may call oneself a Buddha, but if not, one would be better off being a good person instead of trying to cheat people. In this sutra, Shakyamuni Buddha, the teacher of the Saha world, speaks of the adornments of the land of ultimate bliss and of its teacher, Amitabha Buddha. Saha is a Sanskrit term which means to be endured. The world in which we live has so much suffering that living beings find it hard to endure, and so it is named Saha. Shakyamuni Buddha's name, also Sanskrit, is explained in 2 parts. Shaka, his family name, means able to be humane. The Buddha shows his humaneness as compassion, which relieves suffering, and kindness, which bestows happiness by teaching and transforming living beings. There are 3 kinds of compassion. 1. An attitude of loving compassion. Average men love and sympathize with those close to them, but not with strangers. Seeing relatives or friends in distress, they exhaust their strength to help them, but when strangers are suffering, they pay them no heed. Having compassion for those you love is called an attitude of loving compassion. There is as well an attitude of loving compassion which extends to those of the same species, but not to those of other species. For example, not only do people have no compassion for animals, such as oxen, pigs, chickens, geese, or ducks, but they even go so far as to eat animals' flesh. They snatch away animals' lives in order to nourish their own. This is not a true attitude of loving compassion. Fortunately, people rarely eat each other. They may eat pork, mutton, beef, chicken, duck, and fish, but they don't catch, kill, and eat each other, and so they are a bit better off than animals that turn on members of their own species for food. People may not eat each other, but they certainly have no true attitude of loving compassion towards animals. 2. Compassion which comes from understanding conditioned dharmas. Those of the small vehicle have compassion which comes from understanding conditioned dharmas, as well as the attitude of loving compassion discussed above. They contemplate all dharmas as arising from causes and conditions, and they know that cause and conditions have no nature. Their very substance is emptiness. Contemplating the emptiness of conditioned dharmas, They compassionately teach and transform living beings without becoming attached to the teaching and transforming. They know that everything is empty. 3. The great compassion which comes from understanding the identical substance of all beings. Buddha and Bodhisattvas have yet another kind of compassion. The Buddha's Dharma body pervades all places, and so the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are of one substance with all beings. The Buddha's heart and nature are all pervasive, and all beings are contained within it. We are living beings within the Buddha's heart, and he is the Buddha within our hearts. Our hearts and the Buddha's are the same, everywhere throughout the 10 directions, north, east, south, west, the direction in between, above, and below. Therefore, the Buddha and living beings are of the same substance, without distinction. This is called the Great Compassion.